So I've done this whole presentation on what this new person's role is going to be, how it affects the team, plugging all the PowerPoint in. Yeah, the said individual rocks up with their notice.
Tell me a bit more about your team. I started with the plan. The plan. I love this, and my researchers. I'm gonna call Lester my researcher. I said, tell me, what do you know about something really interesting about Chris? Obviously, I've been speaking to Luke, and he said, make sure you ask him about we set out to do annual planning. And on the day of annual planning, you went to talk to your head physio, was this right, about a potential pay rise and moving forward, and he hands his notice in before you start the plan.
Yeah.
I just laughed, and I'm sorry, but I just think it's hilarious, right? Because this is what being in business is all about.
Yeah.
Tell me.
I've laughed about it a few times, Paul, believe me. I did a few other things as well, but eventually I laughed.
After you kicked the door in and you went, fuck, you started to laugh eventually. Yeah, tell us what happened.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Actually, we just done our Q2 meeting this morning. So that was our Q1 meeting, 2nd of January. A few months, sat down with this individual, the most senior person in the business. Tell me they want to progress. We've got another young team coming in underneath them. So, right, this is going to be your role. Go away, think about the perfect role. Come to me with it. What you think should be paid for that? Came back, we'll do it all. Not a problem. That fits what we're looking at doing. Agreed it day before Christmas before we went on holiday. So I've done this whole presentation on what this new person's role is going to be, how it affects the team, plugging all the PowerPoint in, and the said individual rocks up with their notice. So threw the plan out the window. So it's been quite nice actually. We look back at what went on in Q1, and I called it politely team restructuring and thrival, because we come out looking better from it. So we've actually thrived, and just as we're speaking right now, we've just hit a record month. I've just seen it pop on the screen, record revenue, record appointment number. So you look at these things 3 months on and you can smile a little bit, but you've got to adapt. We've had to plan. We've hired 3 people in that time. One of them just about to join us. So actually, it's funny enough, on that same day we had a new starter. So it's one's first day, one's last day.
I'm going to keep talking about this with you. I'll share you an experience that I had, or whatever it was, January the 2nd. Obviously, public holiday on New Year's Day, so January the 2nd, I come in, and I bet you it's 9:16. No, I might have been 10:16 because everyone starts at 10:30 in the media office in the UK, and I was back there at the time, and this said individual walked in and said, "Have you got 5 minutes?" I said, "Come on,
it's
then.
always, have you got 5 minutes?
Come on, then." Right? And if it's a male, you know what's coming. If it's a female, possibly there's a pregnancy. It's like you're either pregnant or you're leaving. It's usually that. With this individual, it was like, "Come on, then, let's just do it now. Let's just do it now because I know what's coming, and I can just get my head around it for the rest of the day." But I did kind of see this one coming, so it didn't really come as a surprise, but it was like, welcome to 2024, like, literally deal with that. But like the title of the podcast is like, everybody has a plan, then your head physio quits. It's a saying from Mike Tyson. Everybody has a plan till they get in a ring with him. It's like, then he smashes them in the face. Like Logan Paul, or is it Jake Paul's fighting him in a few weeks? Jake Paul's probably got a plan to fight Tyson. Well, wait till he smashes you in the rib cage in the face, like harder than you've ever been hit. Let's see what your plan is when you get back up. And I think that's true of business. And my experience of working with clinics in the UK, right? So we separate this. I've got podcast listeners all over the world, US and UK. In the US, it's quite common to grow a business with 10 or 12 staff. That's normal, right? That's not out of the ordinary. It's common. Not common, but it's not unusual for somebody to have 10, 12, 15 clinics, right? We're talking to a clinic right now in New Jersey about our event in the summer, and they've got 19 clinics. Like, can we bring all of our directors? It's like, oh shit, that's pretty cool, right? But you imagine that in England, that's not normal to have 19 clinics, right? And equally in the UK profession, which is why I love highlighting the likes of your success. It wouldn't be that normal for somebody to have 6, 7, 8 staff and 2 locations. What's normal in the UK is a one-man band, one lady band, right? Solo practitioner with a part-time front desk, maximum a second or third therapist who's 10 hours here, 5 hours there, right? That's the typical business. So you're busting right through that, and you're going to be on pace for probably 10, 12 staff, 15 staff, 2 or 3 locations. But you have to get into a world of hurt with people. And I think that's the bit that most people are not comfortable with as physios. if they get their head around the treatment thing and they get a good reputation, then they have to do a bit more marketing. They kind of usually stop there. But even if they bust through that, the bit that they don't like is the people thing. So I'm all about any questions or anything we can talk about today, how you've busted through this people thing. Once you get to 6 and 7, it's like you're on your way to 10 and 12. So talk to us a little bit more about your team and your people, and just how you've embraced your leadership role, if you like, at your clinic.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the people challenge, as I'm sure most people listening to this, is the challenge to try and overcome or certainly manage. We've got a nice team at the moment, culturally. So I heard you spoke in Orlando. I think it was about top 10 attributes of A players or something like that. And the one that jumped out and slapped me right in the face was coachability.
Yeah.
I scanned across my team in my brain. I went, we've got some, we haven't got it all. We've hired the last 3 we've hired all on coachability, and my God, does it show.
Yeah.
We've now actually, I say that the therapist that left on 2nd of January was the last of the old guard, if you like, old dog, new tricks and all that kind of thing. So we've now got a completely fully bought in team to the process, what we're trying to do. Culturally, we're very good. They're very close. We had a good laugh today and learned some stuff along the way as well. But they're coachable, they're listening, they're learning, and we're already, we had a look at, have we upskilled in the last 3 months since we had that bad day. And what I said to if we can keep the main theme of that was kind of these marginal gains of 1%. How can we keep leveling up 1% at the start of the year, and also looking at the patient life cycle, the patient journey as a team effort. So who's role and responsibilities at each stage to get the success for that patient. So everyone's kind of bought into that. So we recapped on that today, and we looked at how have those 1% gains added up in 3 months. Where are we now? And I said it's culminated in hitting a record month this month with the new therapist just joined us her first month, and she's hit 55% capacity, so not even anywhere near where we need her. So the fact that that's a record month is brilliant, and it shows that the staff are engaged and are kind of following out what that plan of care as we want it done, really. So coachability's been probably the biggest thing. It was Tom actually in Orlando at the Ultimate CEO competition. He again said something that jumped out at me, and he said, I thought I was a bad leader until I could find people I could lead, and that was definitely me. So there were 2 things I left with in my mind: was find people that are coachable and find the ones I can lead. And touch wood, it's the best it's been right now. So
I think
I'm not naive enough to think it's going to stay that way, but it's a good start.
Well, this is going to be a good conversation. It doesn't stay that way, but you do, right? So this is the differentiator: is that your people will evolve, they will change, their priorities will change. Some of them, I've had said individuals who have been with me for 3 to 5 years, who are wonderful, brilliant employees for that 3-4 year window. And they didn't become bad employees. Their life priorities changed. They entered a new phase of their life. If I'd have employed that girl 15 years ago, I might have got them for 10 years. But because I got them at that phase of their life with these extra things going on, kids, divorces, wives, husband issue, whatever, right? Like their priorities change. And ultimately, that's what you are managing all day. You're managing somebody who ideally their priorities and their goals and their values are aligned at that time, but theirs change. Yours evolves as you evolve, and what you want and what you know to be true about your life. Yours stays pretty consistent, and that's the thing that you've got to cling to as you grow your business, that you change. And the worst thing that I see happen in businesses where because you lose a few people, you think, oh, I need to change and I need to stop being this, it's like, no, you need to double down and be more of that person and attract more of the people that do want to be around a Chris that has this type of value or this type of belief about life or business. They need to get behind that, but it doesn't mean that they stay forever with you, and nor should it be your mission to try and get somebody. Your job really, this phrase got taught to me recently. Your job is to create a leadership factory. And if you understand that, right, if you set out to create a leadership factory where Chris is going to create an environment, a factory like mill-like process in the business that develops leaders, where every leader has to be responsible for themselves and like must be able to lead themselves. And that's a phrase that I've introduced in my teams. You don't have to manage people, and you don't have to always be a leader of 4 people, but you must be a leader of 1. And if you run that filter, everybody listen to this, run through your business that filter of, have I got somebody in my team who can't even lead themselves? That's your weakest link. That's your problem. And that person needs to be removed from the business. So I get it, Sally, you don't like the responsibility of managing these 3 people. I get that. but you have to be able to lead yourself. Because if I have to lead you and I have to keep dragging you, there's too much energy there from me being used in that situation. And that's been one of the game changers for me in the last 6 to 12 months, running everybody through the filter of, can this person lead themselves? Because I'm not here to walk you off a cliff every week, and I'm not here to drag you back from, stress or worry every single week. You're in the wrong job, guy, like or whatever. So I think that's important for you to keep managing as you grow your business. And the second thing that you brought up there, which I think is important for people to hear, I live, as you know, 8 months of my life in Florida, and I live 4 months in the UK. So I've lived in both countries, and I've bounced between both, even in the last 6 years. So I'm aware culturally of both countries, is what I'm saying. And what I realize in the UK is that there's a very, very closed off mindset for being coachable, right? Here in the US, it's whether it's because of Tony Robbins or Zig Ziglar and like these like legends of the self-development world, that like the Think and Grow Rich crowd, the Napoleon Hill, like these guys go back decades, right? We didn't have that in England. Like Tony's getting bigger there, and like they'll have never heard of Zig Ziglar, but like there'll be many people listening to this podcast whose parents were subscribed to that type of book or that type of thinking in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, right? So it became culturally accepted here to be coachable. And like if you didn't have a coach, like what's wrong with you? Like it's that type of like mindset. Whereas in the UK, I think we're very stoic and we're very skeptical, and that's your advantage as a business owner, as in we can get ahead so far because nobody else wants to do it. But equally, for somebody who is that closed off, it's a problem for them. Like, because they'll never, and this is where I'm going with it. You're coachable, right? You've invested in coaching since 2016. You're listening to podcasts. You're on flights with your family to events in Orlando and London and wherever else, right? You're coachable. You will attract people who want to be coached. When you have a business owner that wants a successful business without being coached, he by definition or she by definition is never ever going to be able to coach the subordinates, right? The people underneath, the team, the whatever you call them, right? Like they're never ever going to be able to be coached because the person at the top also isn't coachable. And that's where most businesses in the UK stagnate. The business owner's mindset is closed, it's stoic, it's skeptical, it's like frozen, it's stuck in it. I got my degree at college and I'm good now. And they've now got these one or two people and no change happens because ultimately there's been no change in the business owner. The coachable business owner invariably ends up going back to their business to coach others. One or two things happen. The people in the office think this is amazing and I want to be coached more by Chris because Chris is on this journey now and I'm going to come with Chris. Or they go, fuck this. I'm not interested in any of this shit. I'm going back to Starbucks. I'm going back to McDonald's, or I'm going back to work for the council, which I always say to my staff, if you don't want to go back for the fucking council and sit there for 35 fucking years, right? Sit and see how much fun that is. Right? It's a lot more fun being coached than it is sitting there for the next 35 years waiting for your fucking pension, basically. Open for a 2% pay rise if the government decide to give you it. But that's the mindset. And those are genuine things in different countries that when you understand, actually sometimes that's Britain's problem and Britain's challenge is we're not it's just not cool to do that. Like it's like, oh, it's some thing that you're going to lose your money and it's like, oh, they're selling on you and all this sort of shit. It's like, actually no, I'm quite interested in developing myself, thank you. And if I develop myself, then I can develop my team. And if I develop my team, then I'm going to have a good organization that's going to make some decent money. So hats off to you for doing that.